The Sahara is the largest hot desert on Earth. 8.6 million square kilometers or 3.3 million square miles of sand dunes and rocks. This is about the size of the US, except for the few eastern states, California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, buried under the sand. At first sight, this huge kingdom of sand, where the surface can heat up to 80 degrees Celsius and the average rainfall is only about 76 millimeters per year, isn't that interesting. And yet, the Sahara is as full of secrets and mysteries as its night sky is full of bright stars, and scientists still struggle to solve many of them.
Eye of the Sahara. June 3, 1965, the American manned spacecraft has two astronauts on board, James McDivitt and Edward White. It's necessary to make several crucial experiments to attempt to rendezvous and make a joint flight with the spent Titan second stage. Then Edward White would go into open space. To these astronauts, photographing the Earth was a routine, but when scientists studied the images that were taken, they were astonished. In the Mauritanian part of the Sahara Desert, they discovered a huge ring structure, 3 clearly visible and almost perfectly round concentric circles with a maximum diameter of 50 kilometers. Because of its shape, the formation was almost immediately called the Eye of the Sahara. In the scientific community, another name was accepted, the Richat structure. For a long time, it was believed that this structure appeared after an impact of an asteroid. The Earth already has similar formations left by space visitors. The Chicxulub crater on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico is about 180 kilometers in diameter and up to 20 kilometers deep. But the Eye of the Sahara is nothing like this crater. So what is it then? Atlantis. An almost perfectly round shape of the eye.
Rings suggest their artificial origin. If so, the Egyptian pyramid of Cheops pales in comparison with this magnificent antiquity structure. Many modern Atlantigists or scientists searching for Atlantis believe that the Eye of the Sahara is the remains of this highly developed ancient city that belonged to a mysterious, unknown civilization. The dimensions and architecture of the rings almost fully correspond to the description made by Plato. Here's how Plato writes about Atlantis in his work, The Atlantis Dialogue. Alternate zones of sea and land, larger and smaller, encircling one another. There were 2 of land and 3 of water, each having its circumference equidistant every way from the center, so that no man could get to the island, for ships and voyages were not as yet. The island in which the palates were situated at a diameter of 5 stadia. Plato's theory seems plausible, given that Atlantis, as he claimed, existed over 10,000 years ago, and if a modern city was abandoned for such a long time, nothing would have remained from it either. According to Plato, the ancient city sank as a result of a certain cataclysm. Because of this, scientists prefer to look for Atlantis at the bottom of the ocean, but recently they began to think that Atlantis could be on the surface, and because of how long it stayed underwater, only the central city of Atlantis, the Richat structure, could have survived. This is exactly what the French Atlantigist Orlando Santos thinks. The idea is that the territory that the ancient city was built on could be underwater as a result of a powerful earthquake, and over time, because of natural tectonic processes, it dried up. Geologists who have explored the Sahara claim that its natural conditions have changed several times under such circumstances. Alternatively, Atlantis could be flooded with water due to a tsunami that formed.
After a meteorite or an asteroid collided with our planet, in the Bible, this event is referred to as the flood. If the legends and myths about the city island are true, both of the above phenomena occurred almost simultaneously. Volcanoes. At the same time, geologists strongly disagree with Atlantologists. When the theory about the meteorite origin of the Sahara Eye was refuted, another idea was suggested. The structure could as well be the remains of an ancient volcano. And there are volcanoes in the Sahara. The largest one, located in Chad, is called Emi Kusi. It's 3.5 kilometers above sea level. Its peak has two craters, one with a diameter of 12 by 15 kilometers, and the other one about 2 to 3 kilometers in size and 350 meters deep. But that's much smaller than the reshot structure, and 50 kilometers in diameter isn't just a volcano, it's a supervolcano, like the one underneath the Yellowstone National Park. But because the Yellowstone supervolcano looks completely different, geologists suggest another hypothesis. As a result of the rise of magma, the surface above it rose as well. But this doesn't explain why, instead of just a hill, several concentric rings formed. Another version is that the Eye of the Sahara is the result of erosion. Scientists think that the ground in this place was gradually weathering, which led to such a layered formation. To date, this hypothesis is the most plausible. While scientists have been puzzling over the mystery of the Sahara for half a century, astronauts have been using it as a sort of beacon. So while the Earth is spying on the cosmos with its Eye of the Sahara, let's deal with other optics, or rather with glass. Glass. The Libyan Desert, located in the center of North Africa, is part of the Sahara and looks like the most ordinary desert. Sand, rare oases, and some more sand. But only here, among the dunes, can you find a very strange substance. Scientists have called it Libyan glass. The substance looks like there was an accident at a glass factory, and the workers, instead of making bottles from the resulting product, were forced to simply pour molten quartz onto the ground where it solidified, and now it lies scattered on the sand in shapeless pieces, glowing in the tropical sun. But what's weird about this glass is its age. The ancient Egyptians knew the technology of making glass 5,000 years ago. For example, glazed tiles on the interior of the Djoser Pyramid date back to the 27th century BC. But the thing is that the age of the Libyan glass isn't 5,000 years old, and not even 50, but 100,000 years. So who could spill hundreds of tons of molten quartz over an area of approximately 150 by 30 kilometers 100,000 years ago? Well, it could have been some kind of cataclysm that happened here, and not an industrial, but rather a military one, and on a cosmic scale. Something unimaginably powerful might have exploded above the sand dunes that turned them into glass. Something similar happened when the American atomic bomb was tested in the state of New Mexico, or during the Soviet atomic bomb test in Kazakhstan. The sand surrounding the epicenters of the explosions turned into glass. Ufologists suggest that a nuclear conflict took place in the Sahara. They believe that terrestrial civilizations had nothing to do with it, and that this was the work of aliens. And a nuclear conflict wasn't only on the site of modern Libya. Stones molten by ultra-high temperatures were also found on the territory of the Sinai Peninsula. Still, ufologists aren't scientists, so what do real scientists say? They claim that the reason is meteorites. When they hit, temperatures and pressures that can turn sand into glass are generated. Dr. Farouk El-Baz and his colleagues from Boston University found a crater with a diameter of 31 kilometers on the border of Libya and Egypt. But that crater is tens of millions of years old, and the Libyan glass is much younger. Also, the crater is located over 100 kilometers from the place where the glass was found. Another researcher discovered as many as 100 craters covering a surface of more than 5,000 kilometers of the Sahara Desert. But again, this meteor bombardment occurred 50 million years ago and not in the place where the Libyan glass was found. So the mystery of this substance hasn't been solved yet. 1,000 years later, another period of the Green Sahara began, the last one up to this moment. The surroundings of the lake were now inhabited by the Temerians. These were no longer 2-meter giants. Their height was only 1.5 to 1.6 meters, and in terms of muscularity, they were inferior compared to the Kiphians. One of the most striking finds of archaeologists is connected with this culture. Scientists found the skeletons of 3 people at once: a young woman aged about 25 and 2 children,
probably her kids, aged about 5 and 8 years, who were buried on a carpet of flowers. 5,000 years later, the children and their mothers still stretch their arms to each other. Nothing similar has ever been discovered. So far, we have no idea who these people, the Kiphian giants and the Tenarians, were. The Stone Circle. Now let's move on to a dried-up lake in the Nubian Desert, 800 kilometers away from Cairo. In 1973, a team of archaeologists who were passing through the Nabta Playa Basin stopped to rest and suddenly noticed shards under their feet. Fragments of old pottery are an excellent indicator of rich archaeological possibilities. Studies show that Nabta Playa isn't just a Neolithic site. Many megaliths have been discovered in the area. Today, the site is located in the heart of the desert, but thousands of years ago, the local climate was more humid and people lived here. Archaeologists have mapped the area using GPS technology and confirmed the discovery of a stone circle consisting of massive stone blocks. Researchers believe it was intended for astronomical observations. The vertical pillars in the center of the circle were used to view the sun, which is at its zenith during the summer solstice. If you connect one of the central megaliths with a straight line to 2 stone blocks located at a distance of a mile, then this line would indicate the directions to east and west. 2 more lines drawn in the same manner through other similar stones would determine the directions to the southeast and southwest. A former NASA physicist, Thomas Brophy, carried out his own astronomical study of Nabta Playa. He believes that this structure accurately indicates the region of the sky where the constellation of Orion was located in 6400 to 4940 BC. According to Brophy, the 3 stones within the outer circle are the 3 stars of Orion's belt before the summer solstice. The scientist also believes that the stone circle discovered in Nabta is a detailed calendar and an astrophysical map, and if so, with its help, it's possible to track the trajectory of the movement of the Milky Way every 25,920 years. But human beings have never been able to observe such a picture visually. It can only be modeled on the basis of astronomical calculations using the most modern data and the latest computer technologies. How could the ancient Egyptians do this, and most importantly, why? Scientists cannot answer this question up to this day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our story about the mysteries of the Sahara, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There will be many more interesting videos about the secrets of the mysterious world we live.